No, I didn't get the opportunity to watch it on TV. I did listen to it on NPR. Thank you for watching me on YouTube. As always, I usually talk about what's going on in my community, what's going on with the government, and of course the corrupt mainstream media. I always encourage you to post your comments at the bottom, and once again, thank you for watching me on YouTube. I'm going to go right to the point. President Barack Obama had went to the House chamber and delivered his State of the Union address. It was seen on all the major networks and most of the radio stations were covering it. However, when President Obama delivers his speech, he's gotten a lot of applause from his Democratic caucus, and then of course some of the Republicans on the other side were probably not too thrilled about some of the words that the president delivered. But most of the things that he wanted to talk about revolved around the economy, around the unemployment, around healthcare reform, the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq, terrorism, and of course the troubled assets of the banks. He wanted to talk about the domestic agendas, including the controversial Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which bars gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgender from entering the military or keeping their sexual orientation private. He vowed to repeal that, and that might get some points with the gay community, but we will see what happens. He also went after the banks. He said that the TARP plan was one of his least favorite ideas. When he was then senator, he voted for it. Him, along with Senator John McCain, voted for the Troubled Assets Reform Plan, I guess, and President Bush signed it into law, which gave the banks and AIG and Goldman Sachs money, and they're still making huge bonuses, and many Americans are taking this populist tone. They're upset with the banks not giving out loans, and many of the community banks are folding, and millions of Americans are having trouble trying to get loans for homes and small businesses. And that's been stalled because of the Democrats and the Republicans who can't get along and try to get things accomplished. Recently in Massachusetts, Scott Brown, he won the seat that was once held by Ted Kennedy. The Democrat Martha Coakley had led a weak campaign, and of course President Obama risked political capital to try to secure that seat. Unfortunately, she didn't pass the judgment, and the voters had spoken. Now, the Democrats have 59, the Republicans have 41. And by 59, meaning 57 Democratic senators and 2 independents. The president also delivered on the unemployment. Unemployment's at 10%. Millions of Americans are still trying to find jobs. I'm blessed to at least have a job, but my neighbor probably doesn't have a job, and my neighbor probably next door probably doesn't have a job. It's kind of like the old saying, your neighbor doesn't have a job and your neighbor's neighbor don't have a job. My mom was recently laid off from her job, and some of my friends were just recently fired from their jobs. They're still trying to find better jobs and try to get back on their course to at least have a decent lifestyle so they can at least be happy where they work at. And I'm proud to say that at least I have a job. I want everybody in America to at least have a job. Also, with the unemployment, President Obama wants to extend more of the unemployment benefits for millions of Americans who are still trying to at least keep their homes afloat. With the recent foreclosure crisis still looming around, millions of Americans are still trying to at least invest in the little first-time home buyers thing, and I'm about to invest in one of those and get me my own home so I can at least not have to pay the bills to keep the lights on or keep the water running and the trash pickups. That's going to be done in my own name instead of paying a company to keep my lights on and all this other stuff that I'm blessed to have. The Republicans were not too thrilled about President Obama going into the issues around the stimulus bill, which is the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act. The stimulus plan was done by the Democratic Congress, and the Democratic Congress passed it and President Obama signed it, but it included pork barrel projects. Many of the Republicans had also got involved and also got some of the stimulus package. The representative for this area is Mike Turner. He got some of at least some of the money that got into this area, and same as John Boehner, the minority leader, and Steve Austria from Beaver Creek. The thing with the Republicans is that they are the party that wants to bring in new ideas, and they have this opportunity to bring in new ideas because they're feeling good about the elections this year, because Democrats could lose up to 30 seats right now with this election was held today. The Senate will be a different story. I mean, they already lost Massachusetts, but they already got like 8 seats up for grabs, so that might give the Democrats 52 and the Republicans 48. We'll see how that goes with the election. However, President Obama said best that he's not concerned about trying to score political points or try to one-up another party. He's trying to get things done, and that's what he was put in to do. Change is not going to be easy, as he would say, and there are thousands of people across this state who are impatient, who are negative, who bring this hateful tone towards Washington because they can't stand the fact that President Obama's in office, or they can't stand the fact that the things that they were promised are not getting done fast enough. And that's fine. The president understands that. I'm getting impatient because I feel like the president's not doing enough to at least address the issues from the conservative media. The conservative media has been spinning left and right about how things are not being done and taking words out of context and trying to blame everybody, including people like myself, because we take a different stance to their issues. The thing with me is personal. I want jobs. I want a stable economy. I want to see Dayton thrive and survive. The president tried to make that clear when he said that this investment with the stimulus was going to be beneficial. It did bring jobs to the area, but it's not bringing enough jobs, and that's at a slow pace, and many people are getting impatient, and that's fine. It's affecting most of the Democrats right now. He also talked about terrorism with the recent shoe bomber and also the underwear bomber. Terrorism is still going to be an issue. The president went right into it by talking about Iran's nuclear problem, North Korea's nuclear problem, many things that are happening in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Northern Africa, where the Al-Qaeda operatives are more stable at. And he's trying to at least try to marginalize that problem before it becomes another issue. The Republicans scowled on President Obama when they got the underwear bomber to talk, and then when they gave him a lawyer, he stopped talking. Understandably, that President Obama is not perfect. That was a big mistake on his part, by the way. With the healthcare reform being almost a cut and dry issue, the Republicans seized control of the issue and made it the turning point to make this a tone agenda. With the Tea Party protests that are imminently happening across the country, the healthcare reform debate was one of the most angry, most hostile, and most controversial. When the Democrats had made deals and then they shut out the Republicans from getting the information on what's going on with the plan, the Republicans seized on the opportunity with the conservative activists from talk radio to Fox News to broadcast their opinion, and then people soaked it in, and now the healthcare reform plan is now falling apart. The Democrats lost the Senate seat in Massachusetts, and the Republicans have now the power to control a filibuster. And the Democrats are now scrambling to try to do either a 60-vote passage or reconciliation, which requires 51 or 52 senators to pass a bill. It's still going to be one of those hot button issues that the media is going to talk about. And that's fine, that's part of America. You got to talk about issues. But the thing here with me and millions of others like you watching on YouTube is that you have a voice out there. And I'm proud that you got that voice to talk about your issues. You may not agree with my videos, and you may do agree with the videos, and that's fine. I mean, that's part of your choice. But as Americans, we got to unite and try to figure out the solutions to make our country better. Now, I'm not going to try to attack on those who don't agree with me, but this is what I do best. I try to explain the issue. I'm not perfect at explaining issues, and I'm not camera friendly, so I just do what I do. But for those who are watching me on YouTube, I appreciate you doing it. I know President Obama is not listening to all of you, but he's trying his best to listen to some of you. And me being one of those voices out there, I'm proud to say that I'm proud that you are listening, so you can at least show that you care about your country, you care about your community, and you care about your city. It doesn't matter what part of the country you represent, as long as you got your voice out there, you'll have many presidents that come to at least listen to your voice. So as 2010 kicks off, we want to make sure President Obama does what he does to improve our country, or in the case of the opposition, try to figure out a way to replace him. It doesn't matter. This is our country. We're free to express our views.